Okay. Thank you so much to everyone. I allow to myself to use my language. Mari kompu che, mari kompu pini kompu la mien. Faci chabung meu, tu faci mak meu. Mule wen mapu chau, mule wen mapu yuke. Isule lain. Nei kui fike mun, kui fira diwam, kui fike mun, kui fike yantun, kui fike yang mun. Ne want to live. I say hello in my language, but I remember and I honor our ancestors, the ancestors who are growing up in this land, but the ancestor of everyone here. Everyone here has an ancestor, has a territory, has a land. So I remember to our spirit that there is a creator. So, my name is Alejandro Antivilandes. I come from Chile. For me, it's an honor being here. And I want to remember that the creators are inside us, up us, above us, around us. And I honor the creator first. This land and this its spirit and the energy who have been protecting this land. And all your families, because we are not alone, we have family who allow to us be here. Thank you to your family and my family too. And I would like to share with you 4 moments in my presentation. Okay, the first one is share something about our foundation, Indigenous Enterprises Foundation, and then we have done what we have done. Yeah, we have 5 years. We are in the baby step. If we compare with ADI or Supply Nation or another very important organization. And the third one is what we have learned. And the last one, and how we are moving to the action. So, what is our foundation? Our foundation is a non-profit organization, and we want to support the indigenous economy, promote the autonomy of the indigenous people. And we create and strengthen an entrepreneur ecosystem. Yeah? In that ecosystem, it's like the nature. Nobody is more than other. Everybody is really important, and we need to each another. We need in every moment, in every situation. And we do believe in that we need to start to work in another sustainability concept. Our main purpose is build bridges between states, between indigenous people abroad, between companies, national and international companies, and the civil society in general. We need to everybody involve this challenge. And we are just starting. In Chile, if you speak about the indigenous business, indigenous entrepreneur, in probably our society, the making decision would say, what are you talking about? What are you telling us? What is that? And thanks to this kind of space and forum, we can say to them, this is happening at least 20, 30 years in other places in this beautiful world. And what we have done in our last 5 years, we are being studying what is happening in the whole world about the indigenous business. And then we have understanding that we have different contexts, political context, economic context, cultural context. And then we have identified some maybe weakness of this context. And then we are moving to the action. What we have done, we start to study, and thanks to the Embassy of the State in Chile, we start to work with the first contact with the minority Supplier Development Council from the state, yeah? And then we move and take contact with another related organization, the same organization but in UK. And then we start to collaborate with the Forum of Economic, Indigenous and Human Rights. And we did the first register of the indigenous company in Chile in 2022. And we promote and we create the first meeting on indigenous business in 2022. And we have been involved in promoting mentoring programs. We have been doing some storytelling impact, sharing with in the medias. And right now we are in two important challenges. We have been here connecting, sharing information, and overall inspiring. And we are working right now in the first system of certification for indigenous company. We are starting really from the zero. We have a lot of information from different places in the world, but we are doing very concrete steps. And the second one that we have done is identify that we need to promote the financial support for the indigenous company. And we are working, sorry, David and India people, but in the Banco Indígena de las Américas, that is in Spanish, but in English it's the Indigenous Bank for the Americas. Don't be confused, or maybe we can, we can. And we have discovered that the indigenous economic is happening. If you see, you have different columns and you have a lot of information, but let's concentrate just in the last one, in the PIB. You can read there, PIB, sorry that is in Spanish, is the GDP, yeah? And the contribution, and those numbers are from 2023, sorry, are not updated, it's part of our past work. So, but if you see, for example, in Australia, you have the GDP, how much is contributed by indigenous company, indigenous business, 3.3. When we show to the making the future, political, economic, and different people from the power, our society in Latin America, you show that number, and they look at you, what is that? Indigenous business contributed to the DGP. And they don't have nothing to say. They don't know how to promote, to support, to maybe create, to collaborate. We are 20 years in the past, in Chile and in Latin America about this. And if you see in different countries, in the past we don't have idea what happened in Chile, particularly about how many companies we have there. And we discovered, we learned about our study that we have more than 70,000 indigenous businesses. And what happened inside that number? You have the 84% lead by women. Lead by women. And lead by women. When the Occidental society tell us and give some opinion about that, so you as an indigenous people are so sexist, but you don't have idea what is happening inside the economy. How strong are the women in the South American economy, in the South American families? They are very powerful, and those are numbers. And unfortunately, more than the 96% are informal. So we have a small business, and the main part are informal. And in what sector you can find? In manufacturing, wholesale, agriculture, accommodation, and food service. And what is the major challenge that we need to deal with? Is the financial crisis. I have been in my previous job in the IDB bank, and I discovered that concept. And I discovered that you would have the same excellent project with the best risk analysis, but if arrived to that bank family with an important name, probably the bank in Chile give a loan, give a credit for support that. But if the same project is led by an indigenous family, you can imagine the result. We heard at that time from executive, very important executive of banks, no, that will never happen in Chile. And it's not happening in Chile in the economic sense. It's very difficult to have that happen in Latin America. So here we inspire about what? We are moving to the action. And we start the first semester of this year to working in that trip, that journey. That journey is, we want to create the Indigenous Bank of the America. America is not just United States. America is South America, Central America, Mesoamerica, and North America. And we cannot forget that. And moving to the action, if we can imagine a strong financial institution, if some elder all the time teach to the young people that if we can imagine something, we can create that. So we can imagine that. So can you imagine a very strong financial institution that just specializes primarily to finance indigenous business? Can you imagine that institution include the knowledge of the indigenous people in the business model, in the core of the business model? You can create something, an innovation technology, something new. We can create together something strong, stronger than the reality that we have. And if you think, as an indigenous people, what is our very deep desire, our aspiration is protect the land, protect the sea, protect our family. So can you imagine that institution giving the 100% of its profit for the nature, for the conservation activities? And if we can imagine that, we can create that. And I would like to introduce you one member of our board. We have here different directors, and one of this person is Javier Zulueta Azoka, and that director asked to us that he needs that in 2030 pay all these economic transactions with the credit card, Banco Indígena de las Américas. Thank you so much for being here.